Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really profound idea. What if certain physical acts of worship, like bowing and prostration, aren't just separate rituals from different religions? What if they're actually part of a universal language, something that's just hardwired into all of us?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with a big question, just to get the wheels turning. Then we'll break down exactly what we mean by bowing and prostration. After that, we'll look at the evidence from all over the world, tackle a pretty common counterargument, and then wrap it all up by looking at what this tells us about, well, being human.
So let's just kick things off with this idea. Imagine for a second, what if there's a language you already know? A language you never had to be taught. A language of the body that just makes sense, no matter where you're from or what you believe.
And that is the core thesis we're exploring today. The argument is that the central physical movements in Islamic prayer, we're talking about Rukoo, which is bowing, and Sujood, prostration, that these aren't some exclusive invention. The idea is that they're actually a fundamental part of this universal, unspoken human language of reverence.
Okay, so to really get what we're talking about, we've got to be super clear on what these movements actually are. Let's decode them.
So first up, we have Rukoo. In Arabic, the root word just means to bend. Simple enough. But in prayer, it's very specific. It's this controlled bow from the waist, hands on the knees, back straight, a physical sign of deep respect and reverence.
And then there's the big one, Sujood. The word itself comes from a root that means humility, submission. And the posture, it's the ultimate physical symbol of that. You're placing the highest part of your body, your face, your forehead, on the lowest possible place, the ground. It's the very picture of yielding to something greater. And this isn't just some casual slump to the floor. The source material points this out very clearly. There's a prophetic tradition that describes it with incredible precision. You're commanded to prostrate on 7 specific points: your forehead and nose, both hands, both knees, and the tips of your toes. Every part of it is intentional.
All right, so now let's get to the really juicy part. Is this just an Islamic or an Arab idea, or does this language of the body pop up everywhere?
And the core claim here is that, yes, it is everywhere. If you look across cultures, across civilizations, even ones that never met, you find this incredible agreement on what these two gestures mean.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at this pattern. Across totally different language families, you've got Semitic, Indo-European, Sino-Tibetan. They all make the same distinction. There's one word or concept for a regular bow, for respect, and a totally separate, way more intense word for putting your face on the ground.
And check this out. This is a perfect example of how deep this goes. The words for prostration in Arabic and Hebrew, they're basically linguistic cousins. They come from the exact same ancient root word. That tells you the shared idea of ultimate submission has been around in that part of the world for thousands of years.
But it's not just in related languages, not by a long shot. Let's jump over to Russian, a completely different language family. They make the exact same distinction. A poklon is a bow, but a zemnoy poklon is an earth bow. It's a perfect mirror of Rukoo and Sujood.
So, what's the bottom line here? It's not just about words. It's about a shared human meaning. A bow means respect everywhere. But putting your face to the ground, whether it's the Japanese Dogeza to beg for forgiveness or the Chinese kowtow in front of the emperor, it always means one thing: the absolute peak of humility and surrender.
Okay, so with all this evidence on the table, you might be thinking of a pretty common objection, right? And it's one our source material tackles head-on.
You've heard this a million times, right? The idea that real faith is just a feeling inside. What matters is your heart, and all this physical stuff, all these rituals. They're just empty gestures. They're not necessary.
Well, the source material pushes back with a really simple but really powerful question. Where do our actions even come from if not from what we feel inside? Are our hearts and our bodies really two separate things?
I mean, think about it. When you feel a powerful emotion, your body just reacts. You don't have a board meeting in your head to decide to hug someone you love. The love itself makes you do it. You don't choose to jump when you're startled. The fear does it for you.
When your heart is just bursting with joy, you can't stand still. So the question is, why would it be any different for humility? How can a heart that is truly filled with a sense of awe and submission stay perfectly still and defiantly upright? And this leads to the key idea. Physical worship isn't the opposite of what you feel inside. It's the translation of it. It's how that inner feeling of humility gets expressed in the universal language of the human body.
All right, so let's pull all these threads together. After looking at all this linguistic and cultural evidence, what's the big takeaway? The fact that people in Japan, in Arabia, in Russia, all these different places, before they even knew each other existed, independently came to the exact same conclusion about what prostration means, that's not a coincidence. The source argues it's a clue. It points to what's called the fitra, this idea of a primordial, innate human nature we're all born with. It's like a spiritual fingerprint left on all of us.
And so what we're left with is a kind of call to action. It's an invitation to combine your own personal experience with this intellectual evidence, to actually feel the humility of the posture for yourself, to see the proof that this meaning is universal, and to really grasp the deep wisdom behind it.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. Is this incredible pattern that we see across continents and across thousands of years of history, is it all just one big random coincidence? Or does it point to something much, much deeper about who we are, a universal truth, a language of the soul that's embedded within every single one of us?